It's pretty safe to say at this point that Star Wars has been on a downward spiral this year. The Rise of Skywalker was a shot to the heart, and it's been slowly dying of blood loss since. The film had scathingly negative feedback as relentless critics ruthlessly attacked the film with feature-length reviews. One day I thought it'd be funny to look at the 5-star reviews on Letterboxd of this film, so I spent the next 2 nights sorting through 1,536 Letterboxd reviews. In the end, however, I only managed to get 14 for this video. Before we get into the 7 big reviews I'm going to respond to, let's take a look at 7 smaller and funny reviews I just wanted to show you.
2.5 stars for Daisy Ridley's armpit shots. That scenery is nice. And the other 2.5 stars are for whenever she appears. That's it.
More like Starcum, the rise of Cumwalker. This movie sucked my dog's fat balls. My dog does not have balls. She is an girl.
So for context, this one got mangled when I tried to Google Translate it.
He worst of the movies and sagas, an insult to this prolific saga. I like it a lot, but good. It has Requeta guys characters like the little one who fixes things, and Palpatine shoots Rey's but loses. Kylo Ren, I don't like that he dies. It's epic in some parts, and the music, my most favorite part, plus, especially when they sing that song so typical of Sue, ta-ta-ta-da-da-da, a pretentious remake of Terminator 4, The Day of the Last Minstrel. The characters there are many, haha, but I love them. Among this, I the 9th of Guardians of the Galaxia, I stayed with this pork. In reality, if I like music, haha, I think the increscendo in C minor is very well used. Haha, in general I liked it. Good closing to the saga, but sometimes I don't like it. But it's fine, ha-ha-has. Goodbye, and long live the War of Star Wars. I leave you my professional criticisms that I wrote for the newspaper. Spaceships at their best. Fast-paced steering with the breakneck speed that won't let you take your eyes off the screen. Memorable performances, but the metric rhythm used does not meet the internal rhythm. I feel as if my mom just died. I feel no meaning in life. I forgot who I am. I'm so depressed. How did this happen? How do I recover? I've began the 7 stages of grieving, and I don't know how long it will be till I feel okay again. I cannot perfectly state my emotions right now, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to. It feels like my soul has been taken away from me. Love is real, and I'm utterly broken. I love Star Wars! I don't know why people hate this one. Yeah, some shaky parts, but still some very good fight scenes. But Rose can burn in the fires of Mustafar for all I care. She's like the Jar Jar of the new movies. She sucks more dick than Russian hookers. What I'm trying to get at here is that she is a bad character. You have Finn risking his life to try and die as a hero. But Rose comes out of nowhere and almost kills herself and Finn. It is not the best way to end the saga. Yeah, it has some flaws, but Tross was a great movie. People hated this movie so much because the internet told them so. Daisy Ridley is fucking the best and unappreciated. She gets so much hate. Fuck Star Wars fans. You stupid mother ducker. AMD Rey's meant to be a Skywalker from the very start. Look at the goddamn concept art. I know that they planned it from the beginning. It's just Rey ruined everything. Oh, Rey Skywalker. Stay mad and cry about it, you ugly skunk bitch.
Alright, you've seen the funny. Are you ready? Here are my responses to these reviews. I'm not going to respond to the full thing, just arguments I wanted to address.
Rian Johnson's idea that the Force can call to anyone, even a nobody, is so important. Rey being a Palpatine does not wipe away this important concept. Even though Rey is the granddaughter of the most powerful, sinister Sith Lord, she directly came from parents who rejected power, humbling themselves to a stature of modesty and perceivable nothingness. That was the influence on which she was founded.
You make the claim that the twist doesn't invalidate the themes of The Last Jedi and justify it by saying Rey's parents rejected power and she was influenced by being a no-one. However, in the obscure film Star Wars A New Hope, Luke was raised and thus influenced by a family who wanted a simple life. Luke, like with Rey, rejected their livelihoods. They were ambitious and hoped for something more. Rey, being Palpatine's granddaughter, goes entirely against the themes of The Last Jedi.
The Rise of Skywalker destroys the idea of Anakin being the chosen one. This is probably the most substantial criticism of the film, but honestly, if it wasn't for Anakin, Rey could have never done what she did. In many ways, Rey can be interpreted as the balance. that Anakin dropped in the Force. But those interpretations aside, let's look at this question. Would we really be interested in a Star Wars story post-Return of the Jedi where the Force is in balance? If the Force is in balance, there's really no big conflict. So of course at some point that needs to change. It goes without saying that Anakin at the very least did bring temporary balance to the Force after Return of the Jedi. So really, the Rise of Skywalker does nothing to take away from Anakin's accomplishments. If anything, you can throw that criticism at The Force Awakens.
Except Anakin didn't bring the Force into balance at all because Palpatine was still alive the whole time. The Force Awakens destroyed Anakin's objective goal, but The Rise of Skywalker destroyed Anakin's Luke's personal goal. It undermined his character arc. Secondly, there are still methods to have a post-Return of the Jedi story with the Force in balance because there's literally a TV show about it. And even then you can present a story where the Jedi present conflicting ideologies and ultimately declare civil war on each other. And finally, even if everything you said were true, imagine 6 films showcasing a prophecy, a story of tragedy and redemption, and finally balance, as prophesied, is restored to the Force. And then the 7th film comes along and says, actually, we never said that balance would be restored forever. Instead, it is restored for a short period of time. It would undermine the prior 6 films in an obvious attempt to continue a story that did not need continuing.
The worst thing man could create was film students that believe they have the talent and skill to criticize films like Star Wars.
Except film analysts are able to recognize patterns and trends. You're able to deduce the quality of a film if you've seen faults displayed across several different mediums and studied those faults. A film is a machine, and critics can see the gears inside of it. Critics are able to tackle films more complex than Star Wars, so why do you automatically assume that they're unable to? Oh, it's because they're expressing views that don't align with yours, making them objectively wrong.
God help me if a woman is a protagonist and has more powers than anyone. So what, she blew up a ship? Big deal.
Now kids, this is what we call a straw man argument. Name one competent film analyst, the people you're supposedly addressing, who have ever made the argument that a character being a woman is bad. The only examples I can garner are channels like Knobs. You're getting your examples of film critique from Brooks fucking Heatherly. Secondly, nobody has an issue with Rey having more powers than anyone because that concept has existed since the first film. The issues critics have with it is the fact that these abilities are given to her with no prior training, and she barely overcomes any Force-related obstacles. Critics don't have issues with female characters, they have issues with poorly written characters. The fact that she's a woman is irrelevant.
Star Wars are movies that we should enjoy instead of trash them down. Out of the holy trinity of endings, Game of Thrones, Avengers, and Star Wars, this one was by far the best one. Don't worry if the script wasn't great, or if the composition of a shot could have been better resolved if they had you as the DP.
Or maybe, just maybe, people consume films in different ways, some for enjoyment and some for analysis. Not everyone is you, people are unique, stop being an elitist, moving on.
Movies are more about feelings than technical things you can analyze. This movie made me feel more than most movies in the past couple years. That's not something I can control, but is an indicator of some worth.
I said, moving on. Oh, it's another review. Just one question. How do you think films are made? Are they made with feelings, or are they made with technical things that you can analyze? Dialogue, story structure, character arcs, tone, plot beats. These things aren't made with feelings. Sure, the end result outputs feelings, but that doesn't mean you should disregard film critique as a whole.
I've heard some people noting that Rise of Skywalker tried to undo things set in The Last Jedi, which now I understand to mean that moment in The Last Jedi when Kylo tells Rey that her parents were nobodies. Now we learn that the very opposite is true. However, I don't see it as Abrams trying to undo Rian Johnson's narrative.
That's literally what undoing a narrative is. JJ set up a future plot point, Rey's parentage. Rian gave an answer to this mystery. There is no narrative reason to undo this. This review was written as soon as the author left the theater on December 26, so this point can't be used as leverage. But to Will of the Fates, the original Episode 9 made no changes to the storyline. Regardless, this being the original intent completely goes against 2 themes The Last Jedi featured, subverting the tropes of the original films and the fact that special people can come from anywhere. And say what you will about The Last Jedi, but at least it was consistent with its themes. So this can't have been planned in The Last Jedi. Your justification for one of this film's faults actively makes another film you're a fan of worse.
I feel like nobody, including Rey, really believed her parents were nobodies. This is especially true when you consider how in Rise of Skywalker, Kylo presses to Rey that she remembers more than she thinks she does, or more than she lets on, about what happened to her parents. With those memories being established, I think Rey knew all along that her parents couldn't have been nobodies.
Except your argument here hinges on the fact that this was Ryan's intent, which it clearly wasn't. Rey remembering more than she let on is a plot point that was never featured in the prior film. Why would you assume a plot point that was never set up in the prior film was set up in the prior film?
Quick sidebar about the other characters in this movie. First of all, I think Poe is a huge asset to the team, and a great character. He's not like any other character we've seen in this franchise. Neither is Finn, and it's a good choice acting-wise on Oscar Isaac's part, and writing-wise on the part of those who wrote him. Finn's character was interesting in this movie. In the last movie, Rian Johnson made a huge mistake in introducing an element of weird, one-sided romance into the Finn-Rose dynamic. Yes, there's an aspect of realism to it. He's attractive, and I firsthand get how she could fall for him like that. But at the same time, it made her character into something it didn't need to be. Now we see Rose Harley. She's kind of just a backup resistance leader/fighter, and I think she could have had more of a storyline. But so could Finn. Finn's origin story is fantastic. That was one of the only good things in The Force Awakens achieved. Creating a character origin story that was unique, but also suited the setting and the current culture. I've seen a few ideas thrown around about potential storylines, Finn could have had it in this movie. For example, with the help of that other former Stormtrooper girl, he could have tried to get some Stormtroopers over to the Resistance side. I guess the decision was that when it all came down to it, all the plot needed was for Rey to be supported by Poe and Finn and the others because what happened with her would ultimately decide it. The firepower of the Resistance wasn't the problem, as much as the ideological conflict in Rey's person.
That's not how it works. You can't ignore other characters and their arcs to only focus on one singular arc. These characters and their storylines were meant to play out over 3 films. Later on, you even refer to Finn as a side character.
Back to the side characters for a moment. What was that thing Finn was going to tell Rey?
Finn now has no narrative importance. Cut him out and the film would barely change. His storyline as the rogue stormtrooper was quickly abandoned. Instead of giving him a satisfying arc where he comes to terms with his prior allegiance, Finn being a stormtrooper now has no bearing on his identity. Poe, similarly, was not a huge asset as you purport him to be. There's a scene where Chewie implied that Rey was a better pilot than him, despite the fact that he was touted as the greatest Resistance pilot. Rey pretty much hoarded the entire skill set for this film, just like how she hoarded the focus. Abandoning other story arcs to only focus on one is not good writing.
I am always watchful of movies like this with female protagonists, because I want to make sure that making the protagonist a woman is a conscious choice and is made and elaborated on for reasons other than social reception. I don't want her to be just a woman for the sake of it. I want it to be important to who she is, but at the same time, I want her to be treated the same to the plot as a man would be.
You just contradicted yourself here. You want a character's gender to be important to the character, but at the same time you want them to be treated the same to the plot as if the character were a man. I'm perfectly fine with films where the protagonist's identity dictate the story's themes, but if you went into Star Wars expecting a groundbreaking story about femininity, then I'm sorry. Change Rey to a male and the film would be completely different because China would not pay anything. Anyways, why should the identity of the protagonist dictate the media you consume? You can't logically assume that every single piece of media with minority representation is going to explore their culture or experience because they're individuals, not dictated by their culture.
It's important also to take note of the gender dynamic between Kylo and Rey and how it affected their relationship as characters. I think the relationship between Kylo and Rey started as being a questionable, almost abusive relationship. The power he wanted to hold over her seemed to stem from a weird place, given that their power levels and age were practically equal. In The Force Awakens, it almost represented a weird dominance dynamic that made audiences everywhere uncomfortable. However, in this film, something about the relationship is the same and yet different. I don't know if it was because of how Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley played their roles, or if it was in the writing of Johnson's script, but somehow, Kylo maintains his sort of dominant position, but he isn't in a position over Rey. Rather, he's exerting this power on behalf of Rey. I was pleased with the way the two characters kept their gendered positions in relation to each other, and yet didn't have a weird abusive or misogynistic angle. Impressive, especially coming from a male director in what was once a male-oriented franchise.
What are you on about? First of all, Rian Johnson didn't write The Rise of Skywalker. Second of all, there is no gender dynamic. Make them any gender. Nothing about their dynamic will change. This argument applies to a large portion of fictional characters also. Make Luke a girl. Nothing will change.
Once again, you can't change a character's identity if the identity is tied to the film's story, but Star Wars is not an exploration of womanhood, nor has it ever been an exploration of manhood. Male is not a character archetype, nor is female. A female character can strive to dominate a male character, and nothing will change about the story at all.
It's funny. I remember clear as day the absolute rift that formed between the Reylos and the anti-Reylos on Tumblr in 2015. Probably for good reason. The antis almost bully the Reylos into a minority on the grounds that the relationship between Rey and Kylo was abusive. It sorta was. But that was in The Force Awakens. I don't ever justify abuse, obviously, but I don't think this relationship was really a romantic one then, and thus I don't believe that calling it abusive makes a lot of sense. If the roles were reversed, it wouldn't have been. Okay, hold up. Non-romantic relationships can be abusive too. What the fuck?
I don't mean to sound like a broken record at all, but when the voice actor's calling you out on your shit, that's when I start to take issue. Abuse goes in both directions. Gender doesn't matter when it comes to that. You hit any person you're in a relationship with, it's abuse. They can be any fucking gender, and it won't change the fact that it's an abusive relationship. Romantic or not, this is abuse. The fact that you're only willing to justify it if the female character is dominant is absolutely disgusting.
And reading other comments on this site and social media as a whole, I've seen people saying that this film pandered to the toxic fans, or Disney listened to the fans, or Disney sacrificed good writing for the fans. These statements could not be further from the truth. The fact of the matter is that everything that happened in this film was planned from day one. J.J. Abrams revealed that he and Lawrence Kasdan had planned to make Rey Palpatine's grandchild as early as The Force Awakens. Palpatine's return was also planned as early as November of 2012. Do not listen to Colin Trevorrow. He's clearly saving face. Furthermore, JJ, who by the way said he loved the Last Jedi script so much he wished he was writing it, honored the previous film. It wasn't just Hux still being mad towards Kylo Ren. It wasn't just Luke interacting with the real world as a Force ghost, thus not undoing Yoda's act. He made a dramatic reveal about Rey's parentage while still honoring the fact that her parents are nobodies. Yes, her parents are the son and daughter of the Emperor, but neither of them are Jedi, or in this case, Sith, or Force sensitive. Palpatine was even ashamed to look at his son and didn't even look like him. So no, you cannot retcon the "You're Nobody" scene in The Last Jedi. The "You're Nobody" scene in The Last Jedi is literally the modern day "what I told you was true from a certain point of view." And even then, it's still true since they were still nobodies. So there was no sacrificing good writing for the fans. There was no listening to the fans. There was no disrespecting The Last Jedi. And there was no pandering to the toxic fans. It was planned this way.
I honestly wish I'd come up with a response for this, but my friend made a better response to this than I ever could a month back, so I'm just gonna steal your argument. In return, I'll give you a coupon, good for one free clout. If I ever get 15 kajillion subs and you redeem it, I'll devote an entire segment to advertising whatever you want. I'm very sorry for doing this.
Okay, so their grand plan was as follows. Set up the mystery of Rey's parents as important people. Give us explicit audio and visual clues relating to the moment of their separation from Rey. Have Rey be told her parents might be important but it doesn't matter. Have Rey forget this and act as if it does matter. Have Rey figure out and explicitly say her parents were nobodies. Have Kylo add that they were filthy junk traders who sold her for drinking money. Completely forget all of the audio and visual clues relation to the moment of their separation from Rey. Set up a genuinely nice theme of heritage doesn't matter as much as who you choose to be. Have Rey completely fucking forget how sure she was that her parents were nobodies. Have it be revealed that Kylo lied, but not have Kylo admit to this. Instead have Kylo claim that he told her a partial truth which he didn't. Have Rey's parents be revealed to be part of Palpatine's bloodline. Completely fucking destroy the previously established theme and make Rey's heritage a crucial part of the story. Still completely fucking forget about all the audio and visual clues relating to the moment of her parents' separation from Rey. That is such a poor and chaotic plan that I'd actually say assuming it was unplanned is giving them the benefit of the doubt.
It's very clear that Ryan strayed away from the original concept, and considering the tug-of-war battle between films 8 and 9, is it not unreasonable to suggest that Disney pandered to the fans by reintroducing a planned but scrapped plot point regardless of how it affects the narrative of the last film? And finally, we've hit it, the final review, and by God is it a big one. In fact, if each page took 4 minutes to read, the final product would still not be as long as a Mahler video. 17,000 words on why The Rise of Skywalker is amazing. So without any further ado, let's go, because we're going to be spending all night responding to every single point they make. Actually, no, because it's a bunch of shit. You heard me, it's a bunch of shit. Here's just one line from it.
Now, I admit The Rise of Skywalker is very superficially flawed, as it has uncomfortably breakneck pacing and a corny tone reminiscent of a Flash Gordon action-adventure serial, which is deliberately deliberate, by the way, that contrasts with The Last Jedi's self-seriousness. I'm someone who appreciates a movie more for its ambitious concepts rather than execution. If you're appreciating a movie more for its concepts rather than its execution, then why even watch movies? Why not just read a synopsis on Wikipedia? Like, what the fuck even is this argument?
Couldn't have said it better myself. Critiquing film is generally about critiquing execution. You can have the most interesting and ambitious concepts you want, but if they're not executed in a well enough manner, it doesn't matter. Your entire point and method for critiquing this movie is thing happened, thing good. You call other critics superficial, but you're the superficial one. And honestly, with that, I can't be asked to respond to this. If someone wants to counter it, links to this and all the other full reviews are in the descriptions. So yeah, I just built up something big, and then I subverted your expectations, and that automatically makes this video amazing. More responses coming up soon, hopefully more lighthearted than this. I'm still finding my feet when it comes to tone. I have a couple more small ones planned out, at least I hope the next one's small, and I have a big one coming soon, at least I hope it's big. Of course, send me more bad takes on Twitter. Also, thank fuck for my friend Dira for voicing these reviews. Links to Dira's own content are in the description, of course. Anyways, please, damn it, subscribe. I want people to see these.
The Rise of Skywalker made my penis grow by about 3 centimeters. My favorite part was when Rey and Kylo had PG-13 anal space sex while Beethoven's Ninth Symphony played in the background. And when J.J. Abrams was revealed as Rey's real father, I lost my shit in the theater. There was also this weird scene where Finn was revealed to be a homosexual the entire time and kissed Poe on the lips. There is nothing wrong with that or anything. It's just weird that they had no build-up for him being gay and just threw it out there for some points with the LGBTQ+ community. Otherwise, this movie is a masterpiece. 11 out of 10.
Hello everyone, Mailblair here. For the end of the video, I always want to do segues into the next video, but I have no ideas and it's getting late, so I'm just gonna detail out what my plan was initially going to be. So, there's this review about how The Rise of Skywalker was an amazing film, except for the fact that there were lesbian couples in it. What has lesbian couples in it? Has Been Hotel, who reviewed Has Been Hotel very poorly. Why? No one else than P.K. Russell.